Hello everyone, it's Ian Robb, and today I am doing a match review of my match against Alex on Gholdengo with me playing Gardevoir Jellicent at Milwaukee. So, this matchup is a very interesting one where my main goal as a Gardevoir Jellicent player is just to make sure that Alex runs out of energy and that Solrock is unable to take out enough knockouts where the energies that it would gain by not needing to use Gholdengo mean that he has enough energy to win the game. So usually I assume their deck plays around 11 to 12 energy. So my main objective is really try and make it so that the Solrock doesn't get 2 to 3 knockouts just by itself, since there's enough energy in the deck to take about 3 to 4 knockouts, depending on the situation and the board state. So that's really what I am thinking here. So this starts at turn 1, and with me going first, I will not bench a Ralts turn 1. Even though I have one in hand, it just does not make very much sense to bench one, because the thing is that Ralt is just very bad to bench because if they have access to boss's orders, then they're just able to boss it and get a knockout with Solrock without needing to use their Vitality Band, which is just something that I do not feel like is at all good for me. So here, I have a bunch of Ralts, and along with that, I do Nest Ball for Fez because I have Night Stretcher in hand, so I know that even though my hand has no supporter, and if Alex takes a knock on my Fez, I'll eventually be able to still use it because I have Night Stretcher. And I want to bench a Pokemon just in case if Alex has Power Pro, which is a fighting plus 30 item, because if he does, then that plus Vitality Band knocks me out, which is just one Arven would win him the game. So I'm playing around that just because I feel that is so important for me to just be able to play the game, as I'm just so favored in the matchup. I get to do what I want to do. And in this game, I do not prize any of my copies of Frillish, Bravery Charm, Night Stretcher, or Super Rod. So I'm able to really just play the game plan I want, which is just use a bunch of Frillish, make sure I sub double Monkey Dory so that Solrock cannot take over the game, and win from there. So my board here is pretty, I'm pretty happy with it. There isn't really too much I'm missing. Yes, I'd like to get more basics, but I just don't want to bench Ralts, so I'm being a little bit slower here. What I'm trying to set up with the hand I have is a Mind Bend next turn, so that I'm able to just confuse the Solrock and bench Ralts pretty safely, because that means Alex has to have Boss plus Flip Heads, which just isn't really a likely combo in this situation, so I feel pretty safe if I get Mind Bend off. Is my game plan for when I'll bench the Ralts. So here, Alex doesn't have a very good hand. There's really not much going on, so he's not really able to do much in this situation. Here, I don't really draw anything of substance, so I'm still kind of just sitting here because I don't really have much to do in my hand, as we had the previous turn. And here, I'm just going to plan on doing Mind Bend, as Mind Bend allows me to make the Solrock confused, which he only has 2, so if I get the knockout the first one, it means the second one has to do a lot of damage to me to be able to allow Alex to win. So if I'm able to remove the first Solrock from play and item lock him, I feel pretty good about my odds of winning. So here, I'm just really thinking about what my next turn is going to be. I'm not fully certain, as my hand isn't all that good right now, but I know that Uber use Fez probably this turn or next turn. I'm assuming this turn that he'll be able to get a Gholdengo knockout on Monkey Dory, so in my head, I'm assuming I'll be able to draw some cards and put something together next turn. So here, he's just drawing cards, and one thing about this matchup is that Alex is going to be able to draw a lot on this turn, be able to discard a lot of energy, because I'm not item locking him probably this turn or next, so he can just discard 3 to 4 energy and just use Superior and feel safe about the energy being discarded. So here he does miss OAD's Gholdengo, but he has access to boss's orders, if I remember correctly. Oh, there's one more coin bonus to do, and then we'll see what he decides to do here. I forgot about there's one more. You see there, he discards our energy. Again, totally fine. Superior's still alive, so not all a concern for him. And my hand is very much does not have anything, as I have not done anything in this game. All right, he's going bonus. And here, if I remember correctly, he decides to take the risk of going attached boss, which is something I actually do really like for him, because at this point in the game, he just needs to start taking prizes as quick as possible before I do anything. He does flip tails, which is incredible for me, but I do like that risk that Alex took because it just makes his odds of winning a lot higher. Because if he gets a knockout on a 70 HP Pokemon and only has to use 1 energy, it's really good for him. So here, I top deck Lilies, which is really good for my situation, as now I'm able to just draw a bunch of cards and get close to a full setup and feel really safe, since even if like I don't really draw much, all I need is an evolution for my Ralts here to feel pretty good about my situation, because if I get that, it means that he has to use Gholdengo to get a knockout here. Here I have a very interesting hand where I drew Corellia, and if I remember correctly, I end up using Corellia here and attacking with it instead of taking a knockout with Mind Bend, because all I really need to do here is just set up my hand, and if I'm able to craft my hand to being very good, then I don't really have much reason I can really lose. I have Rare Candy here, so I'm able to just Nest Ball for Ralts, attach my active, and just set up Gardevoir guaranteed, which means that it's really difficult for Alex to win, because not only can I attack him on the item lock angle, I can also set up Devo, since I am able to get a lot of damage going every single turn, because I'm able to set up 2 monkeys very quickly and take over the game. So here, Alex is going to guarantee take a knockout, since he for sure has Superior in his hand, and he has drawn a lot of cards. So he's going to take a knockout on my Corellia, but I'm totally fine with that, since I already have the Rare Candy in hand. Alex is just thinking about sequencing. I think that in this position, he is forced to take a knockout on my active and hope that I miss something at some point in the game, since there really is no other way to win this matchup, because his deck doesn't have any like thing like a Cramorant in it, or Lucario, or assuming he's not play the stage 1 Strike Your Rich Gholdengo that does damage when it evolves. So here, if I remember correctly, he's going to go for the knockout, and that is something that I'm totally fine with. I set up my hand for this exact situation for him to take a knockout, since I have the Rare Candy Gardevoir set up, plus Iono, plus Frillish, and that makes me feel very, very, very safe about my setup. Here, Alex discards Artisan, which I like because I want Artisan in play at all times for my deck, since it allows me to get Frillish every single turn, but he doesn't really need it all that much compared to me, since there's already 2 Gholdengos in play, so Alex feels pretty safe about his setup, I would think, at this point. So now I feel very safe about my odds of winning, since I have full setup. Alex is down, if I remember correctly, 4 energy, 3 in discard, 1 in play, which means he has access to, I would assume, 8, which is 4 Gholdengo knockouts, which is something I can very much beat with just Frillish. And I don't even really need to rely on that. I can instead just set up a Devo and feel a lot safer, because I have lots of time to set things up. So here, let's play Iono. And now all I'm going to do is just start going Psychic Embrace plus Adrenaline Brain plus Oceanic Gloom every single turn until Alex runs out of resources. So here, one big thing in my mind is I'm trying to make sure that I have access to energy in deck, because one thing I found in testing this matchup is that if you don't keep energy in deck, that you could just lose to boss orders on Fez. And let's say it's a game where you'd use a bunch of Frillish, you know, you have like, let's say 1 energy left, they boss twice, you just lose. So I try to be very careful. Now that I'm around 7 energy in play/discard, I really don't want to try and invest more in maybe 1 more dark on Monkey, so that I am able to play around boss's orders on Fez. So here, Alex is thinning his deck. It doesn't really matter what cards he gets here, since he's going to be item locked, and maybe it does matter a little bit because he wants to keep like the good items in deck, so that if I Iono him later, after he gets like a bunch of knockouts, he wants to be able to make sure he does get the best one. So here, I'm just going to Arven for Secret Box, because I don't really need anything. My hands already has everything I need. But the thing is that I want to make sure that I can react to anything. So that's why I get Secret Box, since it is every single card, and I am almost 100% certain at this point he does not play any copies of Iono. If I remember correctly, I do attach the Berry Charm to active, since I want him to burn a lot of energy here. And if I don't, I'm think it's totally fine too. I kind of want to conserve Bravery Charm because I think that actually my objective at this point is, if I know correctly now, is I want to try and set up Devo plus keep Bravery Charm so that I am able to use later Fearless Bravery Charm, because the thing is that it can usually beat a Soul Rock pretty well doing that. So at this point, Alex is trying to thin his deck of all items so that he has higher odds of drawing energy, because, as I talked about before, his only odds of really winning this game at this point is trying to get a chain of attacks. So now that Alex doesn't do much here, I don't need to do anything. Like, I have enough energy here where I can just Psychic Embrace active and do 20, because it allows me to just get extra damage on active, set up Devo. So here, if I remember correctly, I actually do retreat into the Utter Frillish since it's kind of free at this point. I have the energy left where I can retreat either, and I can just do whatever I want at this point. That, as long as I set up these Frillishes every single turn and I do not allow myself to have anything happen. So here I end up not benching Frillish because there's not really any reason to take any risk. I think I've been fine to bench it, but if I remember correctly, I have access to 5 Psychic total in play/discard, so I just don't really want to be able to have a Frillish stranded in the active. Maybe I have to burn a resource I don't want to. So that's why I ended up deciding not to do it. So here, I've been waiting for this for a little bit, for the turn where Alex goes for the Soul Rock, because now I can just immediately bench my Frillish, put Bravery Charm on, feel very safe since I'm able to do that and then do it again. So here I promote Gardevoir because I'm not worried about getting Psychics in discard here, and I just want to make sure that I am able to get as much damage in play, since I know that I might have some struggles later with getting damage in play. So here I've been holding on to Dark for a little bit, but if I remember correctly, I drew Night Stretcher, so I'm now able to reliably be able to just use Night Stretcher if necessary to be able to get an energy. So that's why I do that. Here I put out Artisan because Artisan doesn't really help that much at this point. And me having access to Artisan allows me to feel very comfortable. So like, just in case he does play Iono and make Super Odd a draw, to now turn Super Odd into a Frillish in play, as the way I lose. So here I'm trying to decide where I want to put my 6 damage. Here I split the damage because at this point Soul Rock's kind of useless for the most part. Because while yes, it would do 80 to my active, it still just isn't really enough damage to do anything. So here I spread the damage so that I'm able to get a Soul Rock knockout if necessary, and I'm still able to set up damage for Devo just in case I need to win this game with Devo, as that is a way this game could possibly end. Here Alex cleans the damage, so I think that his goal at this point is just try and be able to attack with that Soul Rock again later, and that's the only way to really set it up is doing that. So I was able to play around that successfully. So here Alex just passes, doesn't really have the energy left, and at this point I am just trying to think about like, how do I like make sure I set up the lock at this point, because I feel very confident that my lock's going to work. Mainly that, remember correctly, let's check how much energy was in deck, because that allows me to make sure that I have enough energy where I don't lose the boss, as I talked about before. And here I'm just setting up the spread damage so that, again, I can set up Devo just in case I need to win. I don't think I'm going to have to use Devo this game, but it's just, again, just in case, because weird things could happen. Weird tech cards always can be in anyone's deck, so I like being very safe about not losing to any weird tech cards. So here I can just Devo to win the game, because if I go place 30 on Gholdengo, I can Devo and just the game is over. But the thing is that there is times to be called, so there's only 1 turn left. So the thing is that while yes, Devo would win me the game, if time is called, what that means is that there's only 1 turn left for each person, so it's just much safer for me to use Frillish and continue the lock that I know will guarantee for sure that I will win the game. here I'm thinking about the whole, do I Devo here? Do I just attack with Frillish? And I decided to attack with Frillish since that is just a 100% guarantee win. So that was a game where I just wanted to showcase how to play a perfect lock where you know how to play a matchup and be able to execute your game plan to perfection, where you hit everything that you want and set up the plans that you have. That was a very unfortunate matchup for Alex, where his Sectus does not at all line up well with mine, while Gholdengo is still a very powerful deck. It's just one of those matchups that was not all that good for him. That's all I have for today. I'll be creating more content for Gardevoir EX coming up soon. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me on X or on Medify. If you want to check out any other content that I create, I have more here on YouTube and some over on Substack and Medify, which I have in the comments. Until next time, Ian out. Peace.